All right, so this is the last page of the Chapter 11 test review, and we are continuing on with solving with logs. So when you look at this problem here, you should notice that these both are logs with base 10 because there is no base written. We assume that it's 10. So we can put these together, right? Because as long as there's logs on both sides, we have to condense them so we only have one log on both sides, and then we can set them equal. So addition means we're multiplying, so really we're doing x minus 7 times x minus 7. Still in the logs, and then we can multiply that out, so that would be x squared minus 7x plus 49. So then we have log of x squared minus 14x plus 49 on one side. On the other side, the nice thing is it's already a single log, so we can just go ahead and bring that down. And now that these are logs with the same bases, we don't have to worry about the logs, because if these are going to be equivalent, since the bases are the same, what's in the parentheses has to be the same as well. So we can say x squared minus 14x plus 49 has to equal x squared minus 15. So now we can go ahead and try to solve, which means we need all of our x's together. So we're going to subtract the x squared. So these x squareds cancel out, leaving us with negative 14x plus 49 equals negative 15. So we would add the 49 over, and we would end up with negative 14x equals 34. And when you divide by negative 14, you get x equals, and we need to reduce that 34 over we need to reduce 34 over 14, so it's going to be over 7. So it'll be 17 over 7, negative 17 over 7. Now, as soon as we do this, we should check it, right? Well, a negative minus another number is going to stay negative, so that means that this is not really an answer, so we have no solutions because our only solution that we found was extraneous. Then we can go ahead over to number 14. Now the nice thing about number 14 is there's only logs on one side. So if there's only logs on one side, we solve it differently. We still need to get a single log on that one side. So we need to realize addition means we're multiplying, right? So we're going to do x times x plus 7. But remember, all of that is still inside log base 2. So now we can distribute to simplify the inside, which would give us x squared plus 7x, all still in log base 2. And on the other side, there isn't a log, so we can just bring that down. Now before, we need it, if there's logs on both sides, we need our logs to be the same so we can set what's inside equal. Well, since there's only one log, we can't set the insides equal because there's not an inside on the other side. So instead, we need to change this to exponential. That way, we can pull the variable out of the log. If we need to get the variable out of the log because there aren't two logs, or a log on both sides, then we need to change it to exponential. So that means 2 to the third power equals x squared plus 7x, which would mean 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. So x squared plus 7x. Because we have an x squared and an x term, we're going to have to factor, which means it has to equal 0 first. So if it's going to equal 0, we have to subtract. So we would get 0 equals x squared plus 7x minus 8. Now that it equals 0, we have to try to factor. Well, there is no GCF, and so we can, since the first term's 1, we have to think about what multiplies to 8, negative 8, and adds to 7. So that would be x plus 8 and x minus 1 equals 0. So then we end up with x equals negative 8 or x equals 1. Now we need to check these, right? If I put 8, negative 8 in here, we would get a negative inside of that log, so that's an extraneous solution. If we put a 1 in here, that's fine, and 1 plus 7 is 8, so 1 is fine, and that's our final answer for number 14. Okay, so now let's look at number 15, which is a word problem. Suppose you invest $12,500 in a mutual fund paying 2.9% interest, compound it quarterly. So as soon as I see this quarterly, I know that my formula is now A equals P 1 plus R over N to the NT. So that means I have to think about what's my A, what's my P, what's my R, what's my N, and what's my T. So if I invest $12,500, that's my principal. The mutual fund is 2.9%, so I move that over twice, and my R is 0.29. Quarterly means that it's 4 times per year, so 4 is my N. How many years will it take for your investment to double? So we're trying to double our investment. This is kind of a key thing. If we want our investment to double, that means our final amount should be twice our original amount. So my A is really 2 times 12,500, which would give me 25,000. So 25,000 is really my final A, and I don't know my T. So my A is 25,000 equals 12,500. 1 plus R over N, in this case it's 0.029 over N, which is 4. To the NT would be 4. We don't know T. So now we have to start simplifying it. So I'd start out by simplifying this part first. So I do 0.029 divide it by 4 as my first step. And we need it exact. So this is really 0.00725, and then we're going to add 1 to that. So we have 1.00725 here, and yes, you have to write all that out because you need it exact, to the 4t, and then we still have the 12,500 and the 2,500. Sorry, 25,000. Sorry for misspeaking. So now we're going to divide to get rid of that number that's not being raised to the exponent, which gives me 2 equals 1.00725 to the 4t. So now the only thing being raised to the exponent is that parenthesis, and that's by itself now. So in order to get the variable out of the parenthesis, we need to change it to log form. So this would be log base 2. Oh, sorry, not base 2. Log base 1.00725, right? Because this is my base of the answer equals the exponent. So now we're going to do change of base to solve this. So it's going to be log of 2 over log of 1.00725 equals 4t. So now we need to go to our calculator and actually type that in. So log of 2 divided by log of 1.00725, and we get 95.95. Now we're going to leave that in our calculator the way that it is, because now when we divide by 4, if we press divide it by 4, we'll get the most exact answer possible. So t equals 23.988. So now we need to write our sentence. So answering a complete sentence, it says round to the nearest tenth, which means we would stop here, right? So the 8 would make the 9 become a 10, so this would actually be t equals 24. So I would say, so answer the incomplete sentence, how many years will it take for your investment to double? It will take 24 years for my investment to double. All right, now we can go ahead and move on to the graph. So as soon as I look at this graph, I should recognize that this is exponential, right? So exponential immediate means my domain is negative infinity to infinity, and my range will be based on my asymptote. Now remember, my asymptote comes from the end and setting that equal to y. So my asymptote is y equals 3. And that would be a horizontal asymptote. So we're going to go ahead and draw that in. So you just need a straight line of some sort. Okay, so now that we've got that drawn in, I would probably go ahead and graph my equation. So we're going to go to y equals, clear it out. So we have e to the x, and then the arrow out to get the plus 3. Graph it to see what it looks like. This will give us our range, right? So range is the y's. My lowest y is 3, my highest y is infinity, so my range is from 3 to infinity, making sure we use parentheses because it's approaching 3 but not touching 3. And remember, when you go to graph your function, you also need to put in a table, right? So we can see our table of values, and we're going to be looking for where y approaches 3. So when we go to our table, y is approaching 3 up here, so maybe I'd start out there because 3.0 is really close to 3. So negative 3, 3.04, negative 2, 3.1, negative 1, 3.4. Need to move that over. So then 0, 4, 1, and 5.7, and then 2 and 10.4, and that gets us off the graph, so there's no point in putting any others. So negative 3, 3.04 would be very close to 3. We're getting up just a little, and 0, 4 is at the 4. And 1 and 5.7 is beyond the 5. And then 2 and 10.4 would end up here-ish. So we can go ahead and draw in our graph. All right, and the last one. Explain in complete sentences how to expand this expression as sum or difference of multiple logarithms. Well, the first thing I notice is we're going to have to get rid of this fraction, so we're going to make it division. So first, and I'm not going to write complete sentences. I assume you can write complete sentences. So in the end, when you go to do this on your test or on a quiz or anything else, make sure you do complete sentences, but I'm just going to do bullet points. So first I would say remove division in the natural log by making it subtraction. Outside to get, and I would put what I got because the more specific you can be, the better. Then I would talk about the next step is we have to break up this x and y to the fourth since it's multiplication. So I would say remove multiplication. Remove multiplication by making addition outside to get ln of x plus ln of y to the fourth minus ln of z. And then the next step would be to get remove exponent from the natural log by making it multiply to the outside. So then we'd have, or I'd say to get ln of x plus 4 times ln of y minus ln of z. And then I put something like, I know this is completely expanded because there is only one item in each natural log. Okay, so you need to do something along those lines in order to complete it. Obviously, just starting out with remove, probably not the best thing. We shouldn't have done bullets. Just make sure that you completely explain each step and show them as you go through to make sure that you have the most complete answer possible.